Title: My brother impregnated my wife while I was on a work trip, then my parents told me to support them. Chapter 1. The house I built became their love nest. I used to think betrayal was something you read about in cheap novels. But now I know, it can unfold right in your own living room while you're halfway across the country trying to build a life for people who never deserved it. My name is Mark. I'm 32. For 5 years I was married to Sarah, a woman I thought I knew. And up until a year ago I shared my home, a house I bought on my own before we were married, with my younger brother Tom. He was supposed to be crashing temporarily. Just until he gets back on his feet, my parents had said. Tom had always been the golden boy. The screw-up who somehow always got forgiven. He just lost another job and our parents were practically begging me to take him in. I didn't want to. But Sarah said it would be good for him. She said we could help him grow up. So, against my gut, I said yes. He moved into our guest room. At first, it was all right. He acted grateful. Said he was looking for jobs. Helped around the house a bit. But then I started noticing things. He and Sarah laughing a little too easily together. Movie nights that didn't include me. The way she started checking her phone constantly, giggling at texts she wouldn't show me. I chalked it up to fatigue. My job had gotten more demanding. I was traveling a lot for a major project. 2 weeks gone, 1 week home. It paid well. It was supposed to get us to the next level. But something didn't feel right. Sarah felt cold when I came home. Distant. Tom was still there, lounging around like he owned the place. No job in sight. Then one day I came home early. I didn't tell Sarah. Thought I'd surprise her. But I was the one who got the surprise. Chapter 2. The camera that changed everything. I used to think betrayal was something loud. A slammed door. A shouted confession. But now I know, it's quiet. It's subtle. It creeps into your life wearing your brother's shoes and your wife's perfume. After that day I caught them sharing coffee and startled glances in my kitchen. I couldn't shake the feeling. They acted normal, too sweet. Sarah started texting more, laughing at things she wouldn't explain. Tom walked around like the king of the castle, wearing my clothes, using my stuff. I was losing sleep. I couldn't focus. I started wondering if I was imagining it, if maybe I was overthinking. But no. That feeling in my chest, that twisting anxiety, it was real. So I made a decision I never thought I would make in my marriage. I bought 2 small security cameras. One for the living room. One for the kitchen. Easy to hide. Easy to access remotely. They uploaded everything to a cloud server I could check from my phone. I told myself it was just precaution. That I wasn't sure what I'd find. That I was just being careful. But the truth? I already knew. I left for my next work trip with a pit in my stomach. The first few days I buried myself in meetings and late-night emails. I didn't open the footage. I was afraid. I didn't want confirmation of the truth. But on the 4th day, curiosity or maybe fear finally won. I opened the app. Clicked into the living room camera. And there they were. Tom and Sarah. On my couch. Her legs draped over his lap. They were kissing, slow, familiar, hungry. It was the kind of kiss that said this had been going on for a long time. I dropped my phone. For a moment I couldn't breathe. I felt like my insides were burning. My hands were shaking. My own wife. My own brother. In my home. I picked the phone back up, hit record, and downloaded the clip to secure storage. Then I checked the next day's feed. And the next. And the next. More kissing. More cuddling. Laughing. Cooking meals together like a couple. Tom lounging in my bathrobe. Sarah lying with him on the couch while they watched movies. One evening, the bedroom door was left open. I saw them. In my bed. They weren't having a fling. They were playing house in the home I built. Living a fantasy. Acting like I didn't exist. And I realized something. This wasn't a betrayal that just happened. This was planned. Enabled. Enjoyed. And while they were building a life inside the walls I paid for, I was out there, working myself to exhaustion trying to build a better future. For what? So they could giggle in my kitchen? I didn't call Sarah. I didn't confront Tom. I didn't scream. I didn't even cry. I just sat there, numb, as I watched the days stack up, evidence piling like ash over the life I thought I had. When my trip ended, I packed my things and booked an early flight. I didn't tell anyone I was coming home. But they were going to find out. Chapter 3. Get out of my house. They say you never forget the moment your world falls apart. But I'll never forget the moment I took it back. I arrived home late morning, quiet as a shadow. Their cars were in the driveway, hers parked neatly, his like he didn't care. I walked up to my front door, the key trembling in my hand. I wasn't sure what I'd see. But I knew what I needed to do. The moment I stepped inside, the smell of breakfast hit me. Coffee. Eggs. The sound of laughter floated from the kitchen. My kitchen. And there they were. Sarah was sitting on Tom's lap, giggling, feeding him something off her fork. His hands were on her waist. Her head thrown back in joy. They looked like a couple playing house, so comfortable, so casual. Like I was the stranger. Until I walked in. Time froze. Sarah's eyes went wide. She jumped up so fast the chair scraped across the floor. Tom stood too, mouth open. "What are you doing here?" Tom demanded, like I was the intruder. I stared at him, calm. Ice cold. "In my house," I said. "I live here." Sarah started crying. "It's not what you think," she blurted out. "Oh, I think it is," I replied. "I think you two have been enjoying your little affair while I was away earning the money that keeps this roof over your heads." Tom puffed up his chest. "So what if we have? She doesn't love you anymore." "She loves me." I turned to Sarah. Her eyes dropped to the floor. Tears streaming. "Is that true?" I asked. She nodded brokenly. "I didn't want you to find out like this," she whispered. "Really? How did you want me to find out?" I said. "Were you just going to keep living here, pretending, while I paid for everything?" Silence. Then I dropped the final blow. I installed cameras. Their faces, panic. Tom's jaw clenched. Sarah's hands flew to her mouth. "I saw everything," I said. "You on the couch. You in my bed. You living in my home like I was already dead." Tom exploded. "You had no right. You're a sick creep spying on your wife." Then he lunged at me. His fist swung wide. I stepped back. He stumbled, tripped over the dining chair, and crashed into the table, yelping in pain, clutching his arm. Sarah ran to him, ignoring me, coddling him. "Oh my God, are you okay?" "I'm fine," he hissed, glaring at me. "You'll pay for this." "No," I said softly. "You're the ones who are leaving. Pack your things. Now." They didn't argue. They couldn't. For the next hour, I sat in my own living room, stone silent, while they shuffled around upstairs packing bags. Sarah crying. Tom cursing. My house echoing with the sounds of betrayal leaving. When they came down, Sarah stopped in front of me holding her bag. I don't know what to say," she mumbled. "There's nothing left to say," I replied. They walked out. Tom limping. Sarah wiping her face. I watched them pull out of the driveway in his beat-up car. Then I closed the door. And locked it. But the silence that followed didn't bring peace. Because I knew who would call next. Chapter 4, Blood Isn't Family. It didn't take long. Less than 24 hours after I kicked them out, the phone rang. My mother. I didn't answer. Then came the text. Then my father called. When I picked up, he skipped greetings and went straight into it. "How dare you throw your brother out onto the street? What kind of son does that? What kind of husband?" I just stood there silent, listening to the man who taught me to be strong, now telling me I was weak for standing up for myself. I told him exactly what happened, how Tom and Sarah had been sleeping together in my house, in my bed. How I had proof. How I had video. He didn't even pause. "Well, these things happen," he said. Like it was an accident. Like tripping over a step. Then my mom got back on the line. Her voice sharp, indignant. "You have a good job. That house is big enough for all of you. They have nowhere else to go. And now, Sarah's pregnant. You have to support them. It's your duty." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Support them? Them? The brother who betrayed me. The wife who lied to my face. The same people who built a fantasy life while I was on the road trying to support us. "You want me to take care of my cheating wife, her lover, and their baby?" I asked. "She's your wife," my mother snapped. "That baby might be yours. You need to do the right thing." No. The right thing would have been for Tom to respect me. For Sarah to be faithful. For them to be honest. Not sneak behind my back and build a new life while draining the one I gave them. The more I said no, the more they pushed. When I blocked their numbers, they called my boss. When he didn't fire me, they called my friends. When that didn't work, they started smearing my name through the family grapevine, telling relatives I was abandoning a pregnant woman and a baby. That I was ungrateful. Cold. Dangerous. But I held my ground. I got a lawyer. Filed for divorce. Sent Tom a cease and desist letter for the threatening texts he kept sending. Changed the locks. Moved my money to a different bank. I told them, "You want a new family? Fine. But I'm not going to be part of your lie." Then came the kicker. Sarah's lawyer contacted mine. She was pregnant. And she said the baby was mine. Chapter 5, My Son, My Fight. When I heard Sarah was pregnant, and that the baby might be mine, it felt like my chest collapsed in on itself. Not because I didn't want to be a father. I did. I always had. But not like this. Not through betrayal. Not surrounded by chaos, manipulation, and shame. Still, I agreed to the paternity test. The moment it came back confirmed, the child was mine, my priorities sharpened. I wasn't going to fight out of revenge anymore. I was going to fight for my son. I hired a top-tier attorney. We gathered every piece of evidence. The videos of the affair, the threatening texts from Tom, my parents' harassment, even the contempt charge Tom earned after one of his courtroom tantrums. We brought in a child psychologist to testify how damaging it would be for a baby to grow up in that toxic environment. We didn't argue just from pain. We argued with facts, proof, and one unshakable truth. I could give my son a safe, stable, loving home. Sarah tried to fight for custody. She said I worked too much. That I was cold. That she was just lonely. The court gave her a chance. A conditional 3-month period to prove she could provide for the baby without Tom or my parents involved. She failed. Tom was seen near her apartment. My parents were constantly in and out. Sarah missed mandatory therapy sessions. And the court-appointed social worker documented it all. So the judge made the final call. Full custody went to me. Sarah was granted supervised visits. Tom was permanently barred from contact. My parents? Cut off completely. When they tried to show up at my home again, I called the police. I changed my number. Told the family I trusted what happened and left the rest behind. Now, it's been nearly a year. My son, Daniel, is my everything. The house that once felt poisoned is now filled with laughter and soft music. I adjusted my work life. I hired help for the office days, and I spend every morning making breakfast for a little boy who has his mother's eyes, but I pray he grows up with my strength. Sarah sees him twice a week under supervision. She cries sometimes. She tries. But I can't forget what she did. Tom vanished. Still jobless. Still angry. My parents? They call me a monster behind closed doors. Say I destroyed the family. But the truth is they never protected this family. I don't date. I don't party. My life is quiet now. But every time Daniel wraps his tiny fingers around mine and laughs at something only babies understand, I know I made the right choice. I didn't just take my life back. I built something better.